This is not one of those stories. This is a traditional story from Thailand. There was once a young beggar, homeless beggar. He was a young man in his early 20s, and he struggled really hard in his life. He spent all day just scrounging for food and barely making it by. Each night he saved back just a little bit of food so he'd have something for breakfast in the morning. This went on for a while until one morning he woke up and his food was gone. Somebody had stolen it. So it kept happening to him. Every morning he'd wake up and his food would be gone. Until one night he caught the thief. It was a little mouse. And he held it up and he said, "Why are you stealing food from me? You could steal from somebody who is rich and it wouldn't affect them." And the mouse said, "I steal from you because it is your destiny not to have much in the world." And the man said, why is that? Why is that my destiny? And the mouse said, "I don't know. Why don't you go and ask the Buddha?" So that day, he set off on a journey to see the Buddha. He traveled all that day until it was getting dark and it was going to rain, just a thunderstorm. And he came upon a very wealthy house and knocked on the door, and the owner came to the door, and he said to the man, "Can I stay the night? I promise I'll leave in the morning. I'm on a journey and it's going to rain." And the man invited him in, and he fed him, and he gave him a place to sleep. And in the morning, he gave him some food for his journey, and but before he left, he said, what journey are you on? Why is it so important?" And he said, "I'm going to see the Buddha to ask the question about my destiny." And the man said, "Maybe you could ask the question for me. You see, my daughter in her 18 years has never spoken a word, not a single word. And I would like to know what needs to happen for her to be able to speak. Will you ask that question to the Buddha?" And the young man said, "Yes, I will." So he went off on his journey. He traveled all that day until he came to a range of mountains. And he climbed up to the first peak. And when he got just over the first peak, he could see that there was a full range, a sea of mountains ahead of him to cross. And he put his hand to his forehead and he fell down on his knees because he just couldn't do it. And then he heard someone say, "Are you okay?" And he looked up and there was a wizard there in red and gray flowing robes with a great staff of power. And the young man said, "I have to cross these mountains, but I can't do it by myself." And the wizard said, "Take hold of my robe and I'll fly you across." So he flew him across the mountains. And on the other side, he asked the young man, "Why are you traveling? Why is it so important for you to travel and cross these mountains?" He says, "I'm going to the Buddha to ask him a question about my destiny." And the wizard said, "I wonder if you could ask the question for me. You see, for 500 years, I've been trying to go to heaven. And according to my teachings, I should have been able to by now, but I just can't. Will you ask the Buddha what I need to do to go to heaven?" And the young man said, "Yes, I will." And he went on his journey. He traveled all that day until he came to a raging river. There was no way for him to cross. And he was weak, and it had been a long journey already, and his knees buckled, and he started crying. And then he heard a voice say, "Are you okay?" And he looked up, and there in the river was a giant turtle. And he said, "No, I have to cross this river, but I can't do it by myself." And the turtle said, "Get on my back, and I'll swim you across." And as they were going across, the turtle said, "Why is it so important for you to go on this journey?" "I'm going to the Buddha to ask the question about my destiny." The turtle said, "I wonder, could you answer a question for me? You see, for 1,000 years, I've been trying to become a dragon. But I can't do it. According to my teachings, I should have been a dragon by now, but I can't do it. And will you ask the Buddha what I need to do?" And the young man said, "Yes, I will." So he traveled all the rest of that day and into the night, and in the morning he came to where the Buddha was. And there were many, many people there. And the Buddha came out and saw the crowd, and he said, "I will talk to each one of you today, but you will only be able to ask 3 questions. And the young man thought, but I have 4 questions. I have the question about the turtle who's trying to become a dragon for 1,000 years, and the question about the wizard who's trying to go to heaven for 500 years, and about the girl who's never spoken and may never speak. And then he thought of his own question, and he thought it wasn't that important. He thought, I can just go back and beg again. That can be okay. So he asked the Buddha his questions, and the Buddha answered, and he went back on his journey. He met the turtle, and the turtle took him across the river, and he said, did you ask the Buddha my question? He said, yes, I did. He said, what did he say? He said, you are too safe in your shell. You need to come out of your shell, and when you do, you can become a dragon. And with that he did, and he became a beautiful red dragon, and he laughed the way Asian dragons do. And he said, young man, look in my shell. In there you will find a string of priceless pearls from the deepest part of the ocean. They're yours. I don't need them because I'm a dragon, and he flew off into the sky. He traveled, the young man traveled until he met the wizard. And the wizard said, were you able to ask the Buddha my question? He said, yes, I did. He said, your staff acts like an anchor to the earth. And if you will just let it go, you can go to heaven. And with that, the wizard took off his robes and he put them around the young man and gave him the staff, and he ascended to heaven. He traveled all that day until he came to the rich man's house, and he met him at the door and was talking to him. The rich man said, were you able to ask the question about my daughter? He said, yes, your daughter will be able to speak when she meets her true love. And just then, the young girl came out of the house. She wasn't a great beauty. She was just a girl. But as she walked up to him, she gave him a smirky little smile. And there was a twinkle in her eye that was full of mischief, and he fell instantly in love with her. But his old demons came back, and he thought, I'm just a beggar, and she's a rich man's daughter. The girl walked up to her father and looked at him and said in a clear voice, is this the boy you told me about the other day? He doesn't look like a beggar. The father was amazed, but the boy looked at the girl and he just thought, maybe I don't need so many things in order to be happy. I love you all, and I wish you always have the things that you need to be happy.